Hello and welcome to a short video on how to reference. In order to find information on referencing, you would need to go to the Department of Library Services homepage, and then under the tab for services, you will find referencing as you can see there on the screen. If you click on it, you will find useful information on how to go about doing your referencing. So this is an example of a book reference, and it is in Harvard style. One thing to note is that Harvard has a number of variations. So what is important is that when you choose a variation of Harvard as your referencing style, that you stick to it and are consistent throughout the document that you are publishing or that you are compiling. So there are different elements to a reference, and some of them are common for books as well as for journals, which I'm going to show you when I move to the journal reference section. But for now, let's focus on a book reference. So basically, a reference helps you to locate an item or a type of material. So it gives you enough information in order for you to find that specific item. So for this example, firstly you have the authors, who are Rump and Christ. So you write the author's surname and you write their initial or initials, and depending on how many authors you have, you will link all of them with a comma and then the last one with an and. So if it is 2 authors, you put the and between the 2 authors. If it is 3 authors, then you write the first author, comma, the next author, and the last author. Then you have the publication date for the book, which is the turquoise color. And then you have the name or the title of the book, which is Laboratory Manual for the Examination of Water, Wastewater, and Soil, which is in the dark blue color. Then if a book has an edition, you will see that it specifies the edition number. So this specific book is the 2nd edition. So it means that we have a 1st edition that exists. And most likely there might be a 3rd edition that will come out, but that is not a guarantee. Then you have your publication first, and then you have your publisher at the end. So you will see the differences when I move to the journal reference in a short bit. So in-text reference or in-text citation for a book. So you will say, according to Rump and Christ, who are the authors, and then put the date in which the book was published, and also you need to add the page number that you are referring to, where you got the fact from. So you can either say Rump and Christ date stated that 123 or 123 facts, or you can say according to Rump and Christ, this is the fact. So if you put the author outside the bracket, you state the fact after that. And then if you state the fact first, then the author goes into the bracket with the publication date as well as the page number for where you got the reference from or the fact from. The reason for adding page numbers is that if your lecturer or your supervisor is going through your assignment or report and they want to actually confirm the source of that fact that you have stated, it makes it easier for them to locate it, because if a book is 120 pages and you don't include where you got the fact from, I don't think anyone would be willing to go page by page through 120 pages in order to locate that fact. So by simply putting the page number there, you make it easy for the next person to be able to find it, and also for yourself if you need to confirm if what you have written is actually what has been stated in the book. So to move on to a journal reference, first thing to note is that not all journal article references have the word journal in them. as part of the title of the journal. So this is a reference for a journal article, not for a journal, right? So firstly, you have the authors, like with the book. And as I said, if it's multiple authors, you separate them with a comma, and then the last one you put an and. So remember I spoke about consistency, and in this instance, I'm showing you now a different variation of Harvard. So in the first instance, I wrote out the word A and D. In this instance, I used the and symbol. So you need to choose either or, don't use both. And then you have the publication date for the article. So the year in which the article that we are referencing or referring to was published. And then you have two titles. The first title is the title of the article, which is an accurate calculation model for sodium concentration in seawater desalination solution. Very important here, there is another variation with this specific reference. So I can choose to put the title of the article in quotations, and I have selected not to do that. And then you have the journal title. This one you don't have a choice. You have to put the journal title in italics. That's what distinguishes it. Remember, with the book title, you only have one title there, which is the book title. And with the journal, you have two titles. The first one being the article title, and then the second one being the journal title. In this instance, the title is desalination. And then we have the volume number. So you can choose to write the word VOL, vol, and then write the volume number after that. So vol 313, or you can just write 313 like I did, which is another variation. 15 March is the issue number, or the number in which the specific article was published in. So some journals use numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. Some other journals will use dates in which they publish specific numbers or specific issues of a journal. So depending, you might find that a journal is published it's published 3 times a year, meaning every 4 months. So you will have 4 issues in that volume for that year. If it's published 12 times a year, you will have 12 issues, meaning issue 1 until 12 or January until December, depending on how the journal decides to name their issue numbers. And then you have the page numbers from which or where the specific article can be located inside the journal. So it's a bit of a mouthful, but as you start to write, you will get used to this. The reason for including the page numbers and the issue number is that, like I explained now, you find that a specific year has a volume number, so 311. And if you don't put in the issue number or the issue, you might find that if there's 12 volumes, no one would be willing to go through all 12 volumes to locate the specific article. And you might find that in all 12 volumes, there is a page 12 inside it because it's a different issue number. So you make it easy for yourself and for the other person as well to be able to locate the specific reference or the specific article within a journal. So in text, it's similar to how you would do it with a book. So then you would say, this is what these authors have said, and then you have the authors in the bracket with the date as well as the page number. Very important to note is that if there are more than 4 authors, or more than 3 authors, let me put it that way, you will need to name all the authors the first instance that you use them, and thereafter you will use et al. As in the third bullet point that I've noted there. So the first time you mention it, you will write it like the first bullet there. You write out all the authors. So if there are 20 authors, you write all 20 authors. And then the second time you use the reference or the in-text reference, then you just write the first author and then say et al. Or and others, basically. The other instance, which is the second bullet point, you can say these authors said 1, 2, 3 or stated 1, 2, 3, right? So with the first instance, it's the fact first. With the second instance, the fact comes after the authors. So here are some useful links, which I will also post on your subject guides. You can go to the library referencing page like I've shown you in the first slide. You can also link to your specific subject guide in order to find referencing information. Thank you very much, and that is all on how to reference.